Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat vacho havacha gusa upranasya pranaha chakshushaschakshuratimuchya dhiraha pretyasma lokadamruta bhavanti. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat vacho havacha gusa upranasya pranaha chakshushaschakshuratimuchya dhiraha pretyasmad lokadamruta bhavanti. What an answer. What an answer the master gives. That which is the ear of the ear, mark the translation. There is no grammatical error. It is intentionally presented that way. You say, he says that which is the ear of the ear. The first ear is in capital E. The second ear is small e. It's intentional. It's not grammatical error. Shrotrasya shrotram. It is the ear of the ear. Manaso manoyat. The mind of the mind. Vachoha vacham. The speech of the speech. Pranasya pranaha. The prana, the vital air of the prana. Chakshushash chakshuhu. The eye of the eye. Atimuchya dhiraha. The wise, having totally freed and risen above this world. Pretyasmad lokad amruta bhavanti. The wise, having totally freed and risen above this world, become amrutam, become immortal. Amruta bhavanti. So the entire philosophy which the Guru is giving out here boils down to the word ear. The question is, what is it that enables me to hear? He says, it is the ear of the ear. It is the mind's mind. It is the eye of the eye. It is the prana of the prana. See, it's one of the most ingenious ways of answering the student. Perhaps unknown, unseen, unheard. Now, if today, if somebody were to ask you, what is your concept of God? How would you convey your understanding of God to someone who, let's say, he doesn't know what God is? Presuming the student here, he does not understand, he's asking a question. What is it that enables things to function? What is that life-giving force? So if somebody were to ask you this question, what is your description of God? Or what is the most often used described terms of God? Let me begin with asking Amitama. What is the most often?
Yeah, when you go to the basic, it's always tougher when you do this. Yeah. So the question is, what is the life-giving force? Is it? Is that your question?
The question is, what are the terms that are used to describe the God or reality?
So it is.
You often hear them. That's what I'm asking. In most spiritual parlance, you hear masters use them. Many gurus use them.
Yeah, I mean, there are many, I guess there are so many definitions and so many expressions. But one that I think resonates with me would be the energy or the force that makes everything in us, around us, in the universe, in, you know, in the world that we live in, it makes it work. So the seed, for example, before it becomes a tree, yeah, that force within it, the life within it, the creativity within it,
No,
that would be
you're
God.
not. You're not. You are right, and yet you're not in
Yeah.
tune with what I'm asking.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. What I'm looking for is what is what are the terms that often describe the consciousness or the reality. Hmm? Whom do I ask? Who wants to clarify? Harish.
Hariam Guruji.
Yeah.
Um, the question, Guruji, what is my concept of God? From what I can gather from my understanding is,
It is not what your concept of God is.
yeah, what is, sorry.
No. I'm only trying to get the question clear here. The question is, what do we understand from the great masters of the general terms used in describing Brahman or God? I'm trying to, instead of explaining the verse, I'm perhaps almost talking of something, perhaps you may say it's irrelevant. How does it matter how other gurus, other masters, other scriptural texts have described God? Please explain to us what this verse is saying, what this text is saying. You'll understand the importance of it only with reference to that.
It's like, I've got two kind of answers. One answer is that it's a there's some forces, some divine or universal forces governing the living.
See, when two people are answering this way, now I'm doubting the very question I've asked only. Amitam also has answered that way. You're also answering that way. So I don't know whether there's anything wrong in the question. Huh? Nothing wrong, Hariji. Question correct, dane. RPG.
Hariom Guruji. So
Yes, sir.
we tend to use very lofty terms: infinite, eternal, omnipotent, omnipresent, and these are terms we even, you know, most people don't understand or comprehend. It doesn't thoroughly describe what it is in a way that makes sense. It's just this kind of shock and awe factor, right? It's an infinite thing. Well, what is, no one understands infinity.
So the terms which are often used, as RPG rightly said, to describe, you know, what is another word for God? In fact, before I comment, in fact, what RPG said, this is what I was looking for. But before I get to that, what is another term for God? Ushama, you wanted to comment earlier? Usha Suresh. No, yeah.
No, I wanted to say all pervading, infinite, all pervading.
No, RPG has already given the long list. I
Yeah.
don't think you can add anything to it.
Yeah.
Think other than what RPG has said. What is synonym not what other gurus say. From your point of view, what is the term synonymous to God? One more chance.
Non-dual.
Non-dual. Dismissed. The answer is dismissed. What is that term for God? Chedramanji says Brahman. Okay. Gayatri says consciousness. Shalajama says that light which enlivens everything. Shantima is rightly answered. Another term for God is it is an unknown. You must come to first starting point itself should be correct. And that is what the Guru clearly understands and approaches it that way. God is an unknown term. You do not know what it is. Isn't it? Do you know? Now, when you use the word Brahman, you use the word consciousness, you use infinite love, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, infinite mercy, all these terms, do they give you any clue? Do you have an iota of an idea what that Brahman is, or what that God is when I use these terms to describe it? Do you understand infinity? Do you understand all pervasiveness? You understand formless? No. So the moment you use these rightfully so descriptive terms to explain God, you are rightfully so left in that vague, empty space of an unknown realm. You're still ignorant. It is you are using another unknown term to describe another unknown term. This you must understand. So when the master in the text, when the Upanishadic Guru answers to the question, he is rather upholding the very principle of education. And the fundamental principle of education is to lead you to the unknown. It should shed your ignorance. It should take you somewhere closer to the unknown. And how do you take you to the unknown? Is to start you from where you are, is to start from what is known to you. What is your understanding? Have I not said in the very beginning, an Upanishadic Guru or Guru of any standing for that matter doesn't expect the student to rise to his level, but he comes down to the level of the student and takes him from where he is, which is exactly from the known to the unknown. So when the Guru is answering, he is not violating the fundamental principle of education, which is generally flouted, which is generally not followed. People don't follow this. They just become very poetic. They become very descriptive. But it is left, it leaves you where you are. You do not know of what that unknown truth is. So therefore, what is the master doing here? Reddy Garu, if you have followed what I have said, now what is the master doing here very uniquely to the question the student has asked? An ardent question the seeker has asked. And what is the master doing here? Please try, sir. And too many people are trying to unlock you. Therefore, you remain to be locked. Who is trying to do? Rajima, are you trying to? Okay. Now you have been ejected out. I'm trying to make you all see what is being presented here. It's very easy for me to present it, but if you are made to see, if you know, and if you start seeing it, what an excitement! What an excitement! Vasantama, what do you see different from what we have just said?
He's telling us about the known, that is the year of the year, known to the unknown he's taking.
So the description of that unknown truth, he is describing it in the known terms, isn't it? So rather than using unknown terms to describe yet another unknown term, he is using known terms to describe the unknown term. And what is known to you? Ear, eye, prana, mind, etc. So he just says it is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the speech of the speech, it is the mind of the mind, it is prana's prana, that's all. And by saying that, he's actually upholding the fundamental principle of education, and that's how you communicate. Amazing how they had that originality. How is it they had that clarity, which is not there today? Sadly, it's not being there. Neither is the student aware nor the teachers aware. So as Umar Khan says, they talked about and about. I came out of the same door I entered. So much of talk about the truth, but I don't know anything about it. So let's examine. When he says ear of the ear, what is the, when you say the ear, what is the ear you're talking about? If I ask you, can you describe your ear? You will point out to your external aperture, the physical golea, as they call the external ear, and you say, this is my ear, isn't it? Because this is the actual organ that is responsible for my perception of sound. But let's say through some freak accident, I've lost my external aperture. The external ear is gone. The fleshy organ is gone. The fleshy organ is known as the golea. It's the pinna. The outer section is gone. In fact, I have to ask Sethuramanji here. None better than Sethuramanji. She runs the foundation ear to hear. So rest of the class will be taken by Sethuramanji. It is the area of my ignorance. I surrender to the real ear. So we are ready to hear, sir. Yes, sir. So let's say if I lose my outer ear, would I still be able to hear?
Yeah, very much.
Very much. Why is it? Because as we all understand, there is the...
See, we have the outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear. The outer ear amplifies, the very shape amplifies the sound, and it goes to the membrane. Yeah, there abetting the membrane, we have three small bones which vibrate. They again, sound goes through the cochlea. Cochlea has got a lot of nerve cells, hair cells, about 16,000 hair cells.
That's all.
Yeah, which convert the sound into electrical signals, which in turn goes through auditory nerve to the brain, where it gets converted back into sound. All this happens instantly.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
We are not even aware. Ascharya, what a wonderment. What a wonderment. So there is the outer ear, there is the middle ear, and then there is the inner ear. So even if the middle ear gets ruptured, as they call it, the ossicles, if that the tympanic cavity, even if that gets ruptured, there's still a possibility that you can still hear, because the inner ear is still sound. As is the cochlea, isn't it? The inner ear. So even if the inner ear is there, you can hear. So if I ask you, what is that which enables me to hear? An ignorant person will refer to his outer ear. A more sensible person would say it's not that, there's something beyond that, the middle ear. A person who is more knowledgeable says that's not the thing, it's just the passage. It is the inner ear that enables one to hear whatever I hear, isn't it? Now, if you go little beyond the inner ear, let's say, sir, something very disturbing news came to you. Just bear with me with the example. It's happening. In fact, the sad tragedy of situation is every now and then you keep getting information that someone known, someone near, someone acquainted, a friend is no more. The situation is, we come to, it's too often we come to know that somebody has passed away due to his COVID or some kind of tragedy. Let's say just before the class, you get to know a very good friend of yours, an acquaintance, a good friend, he's no more. Just for information, please bear with me. So you're heavy at heart and there's nothing much you can do. With the heavy emotion, you don't want to miss this satsang. Just 5 minutes before the class, you get this message. You send in your condolences, and with this heavy emotion, you're quietly sitting and trying to follow the invocation, the chanting, and trying to follow the class. Okay. Siddharaman sir, don't mute yourself. Now, as you are listening to the class, the sound is passing through the outer ear, the middle ear, the inner ear. But since you're so emotionally preoccupied with that grief, the sound is passing through all these layers. You're listening, but you're not making any rational sense. You're not absorbing anything. You don't understand. Nothing is, you're not able to process any of it. You listened to everything, but you haven't heard what was said. So I ask you, what is that ear that enables you to hear? Because as you went by the definition, the outer ear, the middle ear, the inner ear, all are working. And yet I may not hear what is said, isn't it? I may not register what is said. So what is it that is enabling me to hear what I hear?
It's the unknown force.
Now don't jump. You're from here, you're sort of taking a leap. I'm taking step by step. Let's not take that leap into the unknown. There's still so much known that we have to deal with.
You are hearing, but as you said, you are not registering or listening because your mind is preoccupied. You are
because your mind is preoccupied, you're not registering any perception, isn't it? So what is it that enables the perception to happen? If the mind is not backing the perception is incomplete, isn't it? And I don't know, Gayatri Ma, are you there? Yes, Gayatri Ma, can we have the diagram? Now, this is where I wanted to just bring in a little it's a little technical, but if you take this circle to be the mind, the SO1, SO2, SO3, 4, 5 are the sense objects in the external world. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are the sense organs. And the sense SC1 refers to the sense centers. These are sense centers located in the mind, and sense centers are respectively assigned to each perception. So eye has got a respective sense center, so does ear, nose, tongue, etc. Now, when the mind is disturbed or when the mind is not in the present, the stimuli which passes through the, imagine the dotted lines is the stimuli. So coming to the example of the sound, when the sound passes through the ear, if it doesn't trigger the sense center, there is no perception. I hope you are able to follow and understand. So in a relative sense, what is it that enables me to hear whatever I'm hearing? It is the mind. Then if you keep probing, questioning, analyzing, going back and back and back, what you'll hit is the consciousness. Yes, Ma, thank you. So the real ear is not the outer ear, it's not the middle ear, it's not the inner ear, it's not the sense center, it's not the mind. It is something beyond it. You go back and back and back. So when he says, what is it that is enabling me to hear? It is the consciousness. So the real ear is the consciousness. Consciousness is the real I. The consciousness is the real speech, is the real prana, is the real mind, is the real intellect. And the consciousness is that which enables you to hear whatever you hear. Consciousness is that which enables you to see whatever you see. You may see something majestic, or you may see garbage. It doesn't matter the perception. It is that which enables the perception. It's not what you speak, sense or nonsense. It is that which enables you to speak. It is that which enables you to feel. You can have an emotion of lust, or you can have an emotion of forgiveness. Doesn't matter. The most grossest of emotion or the most purest of emotion, it is that which enables your mind to feel. It's that which enables your intellect to conceive. The most simplest of ideas or the most profound idea. He says that is God. It is not that which you think of. It's that which enables you to think of. It's that which you think of. That is not God. Conscious is not what you think of. Consciousness is that which enables you to think of anything. Padmini, are you following? It is not what you think of. It is that which enables you to think of. So it is the thought of the thought. It is the intellect of the intellect. So then he says, the wise, having shifted having completely freed, totally freed and risen above this world, become immortal. Amrutam. So the appeal to us, what is the appeal the master is giving us? The master is giving us that sound advice that you must shift your perception from what you're perceiving to that which enables you to perceive. Capture these words. Harishji, just capture this phrase, please. The Guru is advising us to shift our focus from the perception to that which is enabling us to perceive. And what is it that's enabling us to perceive? It is that very consciousness. It's not what you perceive, it's not what you feel, it's not what you think, but just try to shift your focus to that which enables me to perceive, feel, and think. And the wise have achieved this. And therefore, they are completely freed and risen above this world. They have become immortal. They're not bound. They've shifted their attention from the terrestrial perceptions, emotions, and thoughts to that which enables the transcendental. The terrestrial is the perceptions, emotions, are the objects, emotions, and thoughts. This is the world, isn't it? So they shifted their attention from the terrestrial to the transcendental. Because they have shifted, they are attained immortality. They are liberated. Now the fundamental question is, how do I shift my focus? It's good to say shift your focus. The question is, how do I shift my focus? When the perceptions, emotions, and thoughts are inundating me, they are coming and consuming, and I'm swept away in this deluge of perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. How am I to shift my focus from the perception, emotion, thought to that which enables me to perceive, feel, and think? It seems to be a pretty challenging task. What do I need to do to shift my focus? Harish, are you following, Harish?
Kind of step by step. I'm backtracking a little bit.
I knew that, therefore I asked you. Where are you stuck?
Oh, just between the terrestrial and the transcendental, I'm just a bit backtracking on that part of it. It's a bit too fast for me. I need to review it a bit. I need to review the recording a bit more to re-understand it more precisely.
Live is happening. You are talking of recording. I'm live, willing to clarify now.
It's a bit too fast. The topic for me.
Now let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. All what the master is saying is he's describing the unknown in a known term. And he's only describing with our experiences. He's going along with us. And he's trying to draw us from our terrestrial experiences into the transcendental, into the unknown. You're okay with that, isn't it, Harish?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, how is he trying to take us from the known to the unknown? He said the consciousness is that which enables you to perceive, man. Because the question is, what is it that enables me to perceive? He's He's saying it is the consciousness that enables me to perceive. So when he says it's the consciousness that enables me to perceive, I must create two columns, the left and the right. The left side is that which are the experiences. So if you title the experiences, what are my experiences? My experiences constitute various perceptions, various emotions and thoughts. I perceive, I feel, I conceive. This is the terrestrial experience. And in the transcendental, he's saying consciousness is that which enables me to perceive, enables me to feel, enables me to conceive. See, the job of the body is to perceive and act. The job of the mind is to feel. The job of the intellect is to think. But this per se, the body, mind, and intellect per se are dead matter. We must understand this. The matter is per se lifeless, dead. It's called insentient. It doesn't have any force in it to drive by itself. Example, I can't even take an example. Then you'll say, then is the okay, example I'll take is, imagine a vehicle without fuel. Where there's no fuel, there's no propulsion. The vehicle cannot move. Everything is there. The engine is there, the body is there, but it is out of fuel. Nothing can propel the vehicle, isn't it? So it is that which gives motion to a vehicle. That's the consciousness. So we must understand that there is the matter and that which enlivens matter. So he describes that which enlivens matter as the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, etc. It's that which enables me to perceive, enables me to act, enables me to feel, enables me to think. So the statement is, we must learn to separate the perception to that which enables the perception. Am I right? And then we said the sheer deluge of perception, we don't stand a chance of attuning to that which enables the perception. We don't stand a chance, do we? Rajima, do we stand a chance? Various perceptions and various things that's happening around us.
It's very difficult, Guruji. Unless you are one of the masters, it is extremely difficult.
Extremely difficult. So but the exercise the Guru is advising us is to shift our focus from perception to that which enables the perception, so that you don't get lost in the terrestrial happenings. You are attuned to the transcendental. Now the question is, how do I shift my focus? That was the question. Harish, I hope I brought at least 10% of you to the flow. I don't want to take any more credit than 10%. You may want to give, but I will not take anything. Yes, Harish.
Yes, I'm much more clearer than I was before.
How much percentage you'll give me?
I think I'll give it, I think 60%.
Oh, so considerate, so sweet of you. 50-60% I didn't expect. Oh my God. See, I'm not able to handle this perception. 60% is too much for me, Now, when this kind of perception comes to me, how am I to be reminded of that which enables me to perceive?
I think when you give the example of the fuel on the car, having the car without the fuel, it's basically
Right.
the fuel was the key understanding for me that enables, it helps me put the blocks together.
Right. I'm glad. So it's that which enlivens, that which gives life. Without that life-giving force, this matter is per se dead.
Yes.
There's no life in this. Body will cease to function. the emotions and intellect will cease to operate. Nothing will function. Okay. Now, the question, what is it we need to practice to be able to switch from perception to that which enables us to perceive? RBG, if I can bring you here.
So I think, Guruji, and I don't know if it's the direction you're looking for, but to me, it's somewhere between the discussion of ignorance and knowledge. So it's the knowledge that we gain from this that helps to lift us to and to know to shift our focus from that which is we perceive, which is still very ephemeral with the world, etc. Lift our ignorance so that we can begin to shift our focus to that which is, again, now we can, I think, begin to think about words that are broader, pervasive and eternal and changeless and transcendental and things like that. So that's the only way I know is through knowledge. I mean, if you'd asked me before, I didn't know this, right? It was only through this knowledge that I was able to even begin to shift my focus. That's the only thing I can say, Guruji.
No, I am listening to ignorance. Can I listen to knowledge? Little 30 degrees angle. Milima.
No, yeah. Wait.
Namaste.
Namaskaram. So all the wisdom, this is the source.
You're right, Guruji. I told you I overmarried, right? Only because of her am I here.
No, I am not interested in seeing you. Put the camera there. What is this? I can't. Did I tell you to turn it?
she's embarrassed, Guruji. So you broke the ice, so maybe now she'll come again. So restart
No,
it.
I knew she's not going to. So I had to do
Ease
it.
into it. Ease into it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, RPG, you mentioned about in a generic sense, you said it is that knowledge and ignorance, and it's that awareness. But I'm trying to look at perhaps something more specific that perhaps we all can cultivate, can practice, a quality perhaps we all can bank on, which will help us to see. Ultimately, we got to get into the consciousness, that which enables it. But what is that quality we need to practice that helps us to be immune to the happenings of the external? It could be the stimuli, it could be the various perceptions, it could be the emotions and thoughts. There's something we need to practice. Lakshmi Ma, Lakshmi Mohan, unless there are more than one Lakshmi here, I'm referring to Lakshmi Mohan here.
The question was how to shift our focus, right?
What is that quality which helps to shift our focus?
Consistent contemplation, going within. Always seeing beyond the matter. It's connecting with the consciousness that enables us to see beyond the perception.
See, ultimately we will be able to switch the consciousness. But my question is, what is it that helps us to remain unaffected? Primarily, we should remain unaffected by the perception, emotion, thought. Then comes to the consciousness, isn't it?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, very generic. Okay, right, no problem. Yes, Ushama.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's negate the lower and assert the higher.
Now, again, you're describing it in just another terminology, but what do I need to practice so that I remain unaffected by the perceptions, emotions, thoughts? So the
Keep
immediate
saying
goal,
niti.
Neti, yeah? Not this, not this. So the immediate goal is I should remain unaffected by the happenings around me, so that I can go inward. If the external happenings affect me, I'm still extroverted, isn't it? All of us are. It's a matter of degree. All of us are extroverted, introverted in degrees. There are moments the world completely affects us. At times, we just say the world to pass by. I have nothing to do with it. It could be good happening. It could be bad happening. You will say, I'm sorry. I've got nothing to do with it. Isn't it? So there are moments we experience all this. Shivaji, I hope your net will permit you to communicate to us without any hiccup. I know you were saying you're going to work on it.
If it's okay, I will continue. Hari Om.
No,
Is it
there
okay
is
or not yet?
not yet, G, not yet. See if you can get it addressed, please. Sorry for that. I'm being inundated with the answers in the chat box. I need to stand grounded, you know. See, the quality we all need to practice is to become a sakshi to the perception. It's to be a witness, to be objective to the perception, emotion, and thought. It starts with grosser and then you evolve to the subtler. Like some perception comes. Can I stand apart and watch the perception and say, I have got nothing to do with the perception? And then comes a difficult challenge. There could be an emotion that comes in my mind and say, I have got nothing to do with the emotion. It could be an emotion of grief. It could be an emotion of love. But I separate myself from the emotion and watch that emotion first. I'm saying you must take the stance first. If you don't take the stance, if you don't operate from this standpoint, it is impossible to go right back up to the consciousness. Impossible. So there's a specific quality which helps us to achieve this. No doubt it's the wisdom which takes care of the ignorance and the process of evolution. But a quality which you need to all bank on, practice, is this quality of being an objective witness to the perception, emotion, and thought. So when there is a perception, if I can stand apart that perception and say, I've got nothing to do with this. With that emotion and say, emotions are coming, emotions are going. I just watch them. I become a witness, an observer, a sakshi. Thoughts are coming. It's far more difficult to be objective. In fact, what's the first thing you got to do? When we talk of objectivity, when we talk of sakshi, what's the first thing you got to, okay, where is it first you start practicing? Amitama, where do you start practicing this first?
In your thoughts, by switching to intellect, activating your intellect.
No, it is the Sakshi is an attribute of the intellect. But my question is, where do you start practicing it? First.
Particularly, I guess, when you are facing a challenge, especially when you are experiencing challenges in life.
You know, other day I saw a video which was circulating in the media. It happened somewhere, I think in Bengal, West Bengal, somewhere. You know, a police, I don't know who was the head of some police department, goes into a marriage hall and he whips up everybody, including the bride and the groom and the priest and the organizers, the owners of that, and he whips them up, everybody. DM. Who's DM? Huh? Some whips up everybody. And the principle on which he went is, we have no objection to you, district magistrate. You're right. Yes, correct. You celebrating the marriage of an auspicious occasion, but you're not allowed to have a gathering beyond 10 p.m. It was late into the night. Wind up and pack your bags and get out. You are not sent. And his point was, you fellows are educated people. You're not responsible of the law, and you are taking. You are not following. And he was so hard. And one fellow came and he said, "I'm a surgeon, and I know the minister. First arrest this fellow." The way he went about it, no nonsense guy. First arrest this fellow. You go behind bars first. Take this fellow away. So the kind of you're talking in terms of crisis, Amitama. Here you're not able to control your joy when you know people are dying of COVID. You don't seem to have a sense of composure, a sense of an awareness as to, am I doing the right thing? You can't handle sorrow, you can't handle joy. In fact, it is easier to handle sorrow than joy. Remember this. You can remain far more objective. When we're talking of objectivity, it is easier to remain objective in moments of sorrow than being objective in moments of joy. In fact, you can think on it and come back. Why is it that? First, question the very statement. The question is, it is easier to remain objective in moments of grief than being objective in moments of joy or ecstasy. Question is why? In fact, Hariji, you can't start by being objective in moments of joy. I'm saying it's difficult to be objective in moments of joy. That's the statement I'm saying. How can you say start by being objective in moments of joy? It is easier to be objective. If you talk of objective, it's easier in moments of sorrow than moments of joy. Means it's difficult to keep your sense of composure and balance and say, I've got nothing to do with it when things are going your way. When things are not going your way, invariably everybody becomes philosophical, don't we? Even when there's a tragedy in the family, even the people in the family come to terms with the philosophical perspective. This is what life is. Yes, everyone has to go. Sad it happened this early, but yes, we become acceptful. But when things are going your way, you will not become. In fact, the famous Kabir Doha. Who remembers the famous Kabir Doha? Badrinath ji, remember?
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
remember the exact words, but it goes something like this, that in moments of joy, the whole world is with you, but when you're sorrowful, there's nobody with you. So,
I think it is the ulta. उल्टा तो समझते हैं ना आप?
yeah.
हाँ.
No,
Ulta
it's-
is the exactly opposite.
Yeah, I know that. But I thought that's what Kabir said, that the people abandon you in your times of difficulty, but
No. He exactly says opposite.
really,
Yeah. दुख में सुमिरन सब करे, सुख में करे न कोय. जो सुख में सुमिरन करे, दुख का हे को होय.
oh, okay.
Harishi, can't hear you, Harishi.
The operative word, Guruji, is sumiran. Sumiran is to think of the higher.
Correct. Yes.
You don't think of the higher when you're in
Sukham.
In sukham. You only think when there is a problem.
Correct. This is what I'm saying, which is the line of thought. You become philosophical. Perhaps it's easier to become philosophical and start accepting when there's grief or difficult times. Dukkha. Nobody thinks of the higher in moments of joy or ecstasy or happiness. But therefore, it's a very valid point. It's not that I made a statement out of nowhere. I'm going back to the great Sant Kabir, who makes this phrase. But question is, find out why is it? Then you may have a ready answer. Don't plunge into giving answers. Try to process it. So the quality we all need to start practicing is to become more objective. So the first thing you start practicing objectivity. Where do you practice objectivity first? You start practicing objectivity with reference to others, not with reference to your perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. Start becoming objective to others' lives. And you say you have got nothing to do with their perceptions, their actions, their emotions, and their thoughts. Is it not right? What have I got to do with their actions or perceptions or emotions and thoughts? The moment, no, we're all, there is this percentage. Now, what is the opposite of objectivity? Ushama, what is the opposite of being objective?
Being involved.
You get involved, you get carried away, you get affected. So there is this percentage of objectivity involvement. So if you want to know to what extent you're objective, you start measuring it with others. Start measuring it with the grossest. You know, to what extent you remain unaffected. And that is the only chance we have to go inward. The only way you'll go inward is by separating yourself from anything other than the self. The self has got nothing to do with your perceptions and actions and emotions and thoughts. The Atman has got nothing to do with it. So if I have to get to the Atman, I must start separating myself from the perceptions, actions, emotions, thoughts, isn't it? Start separating. Start by saying, I've got nothing to do with it. Start practicing that being a witness or a sakshi. And then slowly you can step back at some stage. If some perception comes to you, it's not what I hear, it's that which makes me hear what I hear. My ultimate goal is, if my wife is shouting at me, I sit quietly and says, it is not what I'm hearing. That which enables me to hear what I hear is God. Then I have attained the goal of realization. That is my goal. Because that is a constant noise I can't change. I'm not saying she's wrong. Don't again You may say, oh, very subtly you're pointing a finger. I'm not saying. Some noise may come from there, rightfully so, wrongfully so. But if I can sit back and say, it is not what I hear, that which enables me to hear what I hear. So you don't have to hear a Bhajagovindam class or Upanishad class. You can hear anything out there. But if you can convert that perception into worship, you've attained the life of Dhira, the wise. They have shifted their focus, disconnected from the perception. They have switched to that which enables perception. And once you're grounded in that, such people attain immortality. I'll come back to this idea, but it's a very profound thought. Now, don't try to be at a level beyond your capacity. And don't have to feel guilty. Don't have to punish yourself for not being there. Just understand this is the path to get to it. I need to retrace my steps to go back to the self. I need to start by separating myself from the external world so that I go inward. That's the step, is to take a step back. Taking a step back is to take a step inward. And that is nothing but practicing objectivity, being a witness. And that's how we will get to the Shrotrasya Shrotru, the ear of the ear. So the text doesn't give the path. The text only describes the state. We are trying to create a path to that state. The Upanishads don't talk of the path. They only talk of the state, because the student doesn't need it. But given the level we are, we need to approach it not just from the state of a goal, we need to approach it as a path, as a journey. That makes it the whole study worthwhile and interesting. Okay, we'll come back to the text. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.